India's new privacy rules demand compliance from everyone excepting the state. Digital life has to be governed by keeping individual privacy within reach. Author R. Suryamurthy. India has finally switched on its long-delayed data protection regime, and at first glance, the moment looks like a milestone. A country of 1.4 billion people stepping into the League of Nations that take digital rights seriously. But peel back the official statements, the compliance countdowns and the carefully crafted rhetoric, and something far more unsettling comes into view. The new Digital Personal Data Protection Rules, 2025 demand strict, almost European-level discipline from companies and individuals, while giving the Indian state the unilateral authority to walk around the law whenever it chooses. That is the real story, not the notices or the deadlines. The core fact is that the government has carved out for itself an escape hatch so wide, it effectively places the state outside the perimeter of India's own privacy regime. Once that is recognized, the rest of the framework stops looking like a coherent privacy law and starts looking like a political compromise dressed in legal language. The EU's GDPR holds governments and corporations to the same standard, which is why European regulators routinely haul state agencies and ministries to court. China's PIPL, for all its authoritarian bluntness, is at least ideologically consistent. The state stands supreme over all digital data and declares it openly. The US, with its fragmented sectoral patches, still leans on agencies that are structurally insulated from day-to-day political whim. India, in contrast, has built something stranger. A hybrid that borrows the strictest corporate obligations from Europe, the most sweeping state exemptions from China, and the broad discretionary leeway of the American executive. It is a privacy model that inherits the weaknesses of all three systems and the safeguards of none. The asymmetry is stark. Companies must encrypt, anonymize, obfuscate, tokenize and prepare breach reports within 72 hours. They must maintain access logs for a full year, build business continuity plans, verify age and parental consent, create plain language notices, maintain grievance systems, invest in audits, and comply with stringent security controls. Citizens, on paper, are granted the right to access their data, correct it, erase it, and withdraw consent. But none of this is guaranteed if the data holder happens to be the government. A single executive notification, issued quietly, without parliamentary debate, without judiciary review, and without any obligation to disclose, can exempt any government agency from any of the law's core provisions. Consent requirements can be dropped. Breach reporting can be waived. Purpose limitation can be suspended. It is not just a loophole. It is a self-granted general amnesty. This is not how modern democracies build privacy architecture. The EU would consider it unthinkable for a government to exempt itself from a law that regulates personal data. Even China's system, which gives the state sweeping authority, at least codifies the state's supremacy explicitly and consistently. India does something more ambiguous. It speaks the language of rights and citizen empowerment, while simultaneously reserving the sovereign ability to sidestep the very rights it celebrates. Privacy experts are already calling this the original sin of the DPDP Act, a design flaw so fundamental that it shapes everything downstream. The enforcement body, the Data Protection Board of India, compounds this imbalance. It is presented as an independent authority but is, in practice, structurally tethered to the executive. Its members are appointed by the government. Its finances depend on the government. It has no statutory guarantees of autonomy. In Europe, data protection authorities have clear independence built into law. Even China's regulators sit within predictable hierarchical structures. The US Federal Trade Commission, despite Washington's politics, is designed to operate independently of the administration of the day. India's DPBI is closest to an administrative tribunal, one whose independence depends on the goodwill of the very authority it may be required to scrutinize. A regulator designed this way cannot function as a counterweight. At best, it can arbitrate disputes between companies. At worst, it becomes a supervisory mechanism that applies pressure downward but not upward. This might have been tolerable a decade ago, when India's digital infrastructure was still young. Today, the stakes are vastly higher. India wants to be a global center for artificial intelligence, data processing, cloud infrastructure, and cross-border data flows. It wants foreign companies to build AI models here, host servers here, bring research labs here. But the rules governing those decisions, adequacy conditions, cross-border transfer norms, foreign surveillance safeguards, criteria for significant data fiduciaries, have all been left vague or deferred to future notifications. No other major privacy regime leaves the heart of its international data architecture undefined after the law goes live. Europe's system is dense but predictable. China's is restrictive but transparent about its ideological priorities. America's is fragmented but politically stable. India's model is strict on paper, erratic in its details, and highly dependent on future executive decisions. For global firms planning multi-year investments, uncertainty is risk, and risk is expensive.